Hello Bookish friends, welcome to December wrap-up part 2. In this video, I will talk about the 8 works that I finished in the first 14 days of December. Like I did in the previous videos, I will insert the clips that I recorded very soon after I finish those works. Today is the 1st of December and I finished 2 very short books today. The first one was a short story collection that I took out from my library. Küçük, Sırlar Dükkanı by Murat Erşahin. The title of this book is clearly inspired by The Little Curiosities Shop by Charles Dickens, because the English translation of this book is The Little Secrets Shop. This book consists of very short horror slash spooky stories, which all takes place in the city of Istanbul. Although I'm not a big fan of very short stories, I actually quite liked this one. Maybe because I prefer gothic and spooky vibes when it comes to horror. And I also really liked the description of the city. There were some illustrations in this book which were quite beautiful. So it was an enjoyable read for me, and I gave Küçük, Sırlar Dükkanı by Murat Erşahin a 7 out of 10. The next book that I finished was Labirent by Burhan Sönmez. This book was translated to English as Labyrinth. And I will do a more dedicated Turkish shelf video about this book. But in summary, I can say that the book talks about a man who has amnesia after a failed suicide attempt. And he tries to deal with the psychology of not remembering anything or remembering very minor details in a very fractured way. And we really discover what it means not to have consistent memories and how difficult it can be. This was my second book by Burhan Sönmez. Although this book was a bit more optimistic, it was still quite a pessimistic book. I really do like the amnesia trope in mysteries. However, as pleasant as it can be in mysteries, the reality of amnesia and not remembering anything is quite horrendous when you think about it. And especially the main character in this book really cannot remember why he decided to commit suicide one day. This book is told from stream of conscious writing method, which is a method that I struggle with. However, I have to say I liked this one. The writing style was also quite impressive, and I gave Labyrinth by Burhan Sönmez a 7 out of 10. Today is the 4th of December, and yesterday evening, in the first day of the Christie's Missing Readathon, I finished my first work that I was reading for this readathon, which was the short story Rear Window by Cornell, Woolrich. I read this short story for the prompt of Parker Pine. And I also read this short story for my Books of Alfred Hitchcock project. This short story was also filmed as with the same title, The Rear Window by Alfred Hitchcock. In this short story, Hal Jeffries is a man who is temporarily disabled. He then becomes obsessed with watching the lives of his urban neighbors. While watching the neighbors, he thinks that he has witnessed a domestic murder, a man murdering his sick wife. He calls the police. The police do actually find contrary evidence. However, Hal believes that he is still right and decides to solve the murder himself with the help of a young boy who is the assistant of the janitor. This was a reread for me, so I also read this short story for Remember December as well. I really liked how the story just focused on the mystery aspect of it, and it was impressive how the tempo and the suspense gradually increased as we come to the end of the short story. The writing style was really good. Additionally, I liked the small twist at the end. It was a very pleasant read for me, and I gave Rear Window by Cornell Woolrich an 8 out of 10. Today is the 5th of December, and I finished my second book for the Christie's Missing Readathon, which was our group book, The Mysterious Affair at Styles. This book was a reread for me, so I also read this book for Remember December. In this first book by Agatha Christie, Arthur Hastings is our narrator, and we are introduced to Hercule Poirot through his eyes. When the mistress of the house that Hastings is staying is murdered by poison, Hastings, with the permission of his host, asks Poirot to investigate this murder case. Poirot, with the help of Hastings, solves the mystery. When I first read the book, I really enjoyed the mystery in the book. And when I reread it, I also thought the mystery was very, very decent. Very, very good for a first book. Upon the reread, what impressed me the most was the subtle wit of the book. The interaction between Poirot and Hastings is quite funny. Poirot really likes Hastings, but also thinks that he is not very clever, and makes fun of this fact most of the time. And Hastings, being very, very naive, really has no clue that he is mocked. I listened to this book as an audiobook narrated by Hugh Fraser, who played Arthur Hastings in the great Poirot series. So it was a very, very pleasant audiobook experience, because I felt like Hastings was really speaking to us and telling the story like the author intended to be. So in this reread, I did not change my rating, which was 4 stars, and gave The Mysterious Affair at Styles by Agatha Christie an 8 out of 10 in this reread. Today is the 8th of December, and I finished the book that I was reading for the Christie's Missing Readathon, which was 5 Little Pigs by Agatha Christie. I read this book for the prompt of Tommy and Tuppence, because I buddy read this book with my dear friend and co-host Naomi at Naomi's Bookshelf, and a new friend, Elizabeth. In this book, Hercule Poirot is approached by Carla Crane, who asks the Belgian detective to investigate murder of her father. And in this murder, her mother has been arrested, and before Carolyn died in prison, she sent a letter to her daughter claiming her innocence. And Hercule Poirot decides to help this young woman, and then talks to the people who are involved in the trial, as well as the other 5 plausible suspects, whom Poirot calls 5 Little Pigs. I think this book was an excellent cold case book. It was very, very interesting how different the point of views of 5 different characters, all talking about the same 2 days. I really do like Agatha Christie books written in 1940s. This book had an excellent writing style, as well as a very solid structure as a novel. The mystery was very, very decent. I had a guess, but I was wrong. I'm very, very glad to have discovered another favorite Agatha Christie book. And the buddy reading experience was great because I was the only one who did not know the killer. And like I said, I was wrong. But I loved talking about my guess in the group. So overall, I gave 5 Little Pigs by Agatha Christie a 9 out of 10. Today is the 10th of December, and I finished the 4th work that I was reading for the Christie's Missing Readathon, which was Dead Man's Folly by Agatha Christie. It is the first time that I'm reading this book, and this will also count for my series about series challenge, in which I chose Hercule Poirot as the mystery series to read 3 or more books from. In this book, Hercule Poirot's friend Ariadne Oliver calls Hercule Poirot and says that she is devising a fake murder mystery plan with the awards given to the person who would solve the mystery. But she senses that something sinister is happening behind the scenes, but she cannot really place what is happening at all. Hercule Poirot is quite intrigued by this mystery and decides to be a part of the fake murder mystery plot. When the supposed victim is actually murdered and the lady of the house is also missing, Hercule Poirot and the police detectives involved in the mystery do try to solve the mystery of what really happened. This was quite an enjoyable read for me, mainly because of the character of Ariadne Oliver. She was delightful to read about. It is always said that Agatha Christie created this character based on herself, and it was clear, especially in this book, how much she loved this character. Among all the Poirot novels that I've read, and there are so many of them, for the first time I felt like the star of the book was not Hercule Poirot, but Miss Oliver. Other than that, I thought the mystery was a bit scattered at first, but towards the end it started to come together. However, especially the middle part was a bit confusing, and to be fair, Hercule Poirot was also confused about why he couldn't solve the mystery. Although I could not guess the motive or the real story, some of the things were not hard to guess actually. However, to be fair, this was a quite decent mystery and a quite enjoyable listening experience because David Suchet, who plays Poirot in the ITV adaptation, narrated the book. He wasn't as good as Hugh Fraser, but the parts where he spoke Poirot was a delight to listen to. Overall, I gave Dead Man's Folly by Agatha Christie a 7 out of 10. Today is the 11th of December, and I finished the book that I was reading for the Harley Quinn prompt in Christie's Missing Readathon, a book with a mystery in the title, and I read The Mystery at Lilac Inn by Carolyn, Keene, the December book for the Nancy Drew read-along. In this book, Nancy and her friend Helen goes to Lilac Inn, owned by their friend's family, to help the wedding preparations of their friend Emily. However, when they go there, they realize that some mysterious things are happening there. And it looks like somebody is trying to give the impression that this inn is cursed. And especially when the diamonds belonging to Emily are stolen, Nancy and her friend decide to investigate who's responsible for all of these incidents. Like all of the other books in the series, this book was also very exciting and quite a page turner. I finished the book in 1.5 days. However, at the same time, I was very anxious about the well-being of Nancy, because this time her life was threatened multiple times. I have to say I felt a bit irritated with her father for letting her stay in this dangerous place. Like I said before, the mystery was very engaging and also quite complex this time. Overall, I gave The Mystery at Lilac Inn by Carolyn Keene a 7 out of 10. Today is the 13th of December. I finished the last book that I was reading for the Christie's Missing Readathon, which was for the Janelle prompt. I read the only book that I didn't read from Janelle's favorite Agatha Christie books, which was Why Didn't They Ask Evans? In this novel, Bobby, who was playing golf with his friends, one day sees a man falling from a cliff, and when Bob and his golf partner, who's also a doctor, go to the fallen man's side. They find out that he's still alive, but also not very likely to survive. And when Robbie stays by his side, the dying man opens his eyes for a very little while and asks the mysterious question, why didn't they ask Evans? And although at the inquest the incident is declared accidental death, when Bob is poisoned, he and his childhood friend strongly suspect that there is more to this accidental death than meets the eye. This book was just such a delight to read. I really enjoyed the adventure part of the book. It was really interesting how it was a mixture of their cleverness as well as quite by chance how they became more and more close to finding out the truth. I also really liked the dynamic between our main characters. When I was listening to this book, I thought that this was a better version of the Secret Adversary in terms of both adventure and also as the couple's dynamic. The mystery was structured quite good, and I have to say I quite liked the ending of the book, although it was a bit unconventional. The side characters were also quite complex and quite witty and clever, which made this book a really good read. And I gave Why Didn't They Ask Evans an 8 out of 10. So those were the 8 works that I finished in the first half of December. Please comment down below, have you read any of the books that I mentioned in this video? And also, I'm really curious if you have joined our Christie's Missing Readathon. And if you did you enjoy the books that you read? I can say that the books that I read for the Christie's Missing Readathon has been quite a success this year. If you're a new viewer, first of all, welcome. Please like and subscribe. Hope to see you very soon. Bye. For Turkish word of the day, I'm going to choose lilac. Lilac means leylak in Turkish, and leylak is our Turkish word of the day. Have a good day.